Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar, which is more of a roundtable and open discussion around SmarTeam for all those SmarTeam users out there. My name is Mark Young, and of xLM Solutions, and if you're using SmarTeam, I'm probably pretty familiar with you guys, and you're familiar with me and xLM Solutions. Today, it looks like we have a smaller turnout on this webinar, which is really meant to be a roundtable and open discussion. So I will be unmuting everyone. I will go through some basic high-level topics around SmarTeam, but really want to keep this as an open discussion and let everyone participate as required. Also, though, note, I am recording this session and will be making the recording public. Just a very quick overview of us and Dassault Systems. Obviously, Dassault Systems is the manufacturer of SmarTeam. It's the manufacturer of other PLM and engineering products like CATIA, Simulia, Delmia, and then, of course, probably the future version of SmarTeam or the future PLM solution within Dassault, which is Innovia / the 3D Experience platform. Very briefly about xLM Solutions, we're a leading PLM implementations and service provider. We've been in business since 2005, have tons of years implementing PLM systems, everything from Innovia SmarTeam, SolidWorks Solutions, Innovia and the 3D Experience platform, and Eris. And we do everything from, implementations, data migrations, customizations, integrations, and training and support. So obviously we bring a lot of experience in the PLM industry. That's me. Unfortunately, I would put myself on camera, but my laptop doesn't have a built-in camera. I don't have a non-built-in one. So here's me. So here goes the unmuting. And like I said, feel free to speak up if you are interested. And give me a second to unmute everyone. All right, everyone should be unmuted if they're interested. So the first topic that always comes up, and I even just had this conversation the other day, is when will, what is the future of SmarTeam? And the biggest question is, when will SmarTeam support end? And the answer for this is, there is no set end of support date yet. So Dassault is continuously releasing new versions of SmarTeam and have yet to set an end of support, end of life date yet. It's always been told to me that SmarTeam is tied to the V5 platform, i.e. CATIA V5, and as long as CATIA V5 is supported, SmarTeam will be supported. When Dassault does decide to have an end of support, they'll tailor it to be end of support, end of extended support, and then end of final life. So they'll put obviously an end of support date out there. They'll then have a date that's further out where customers can get extended support, and then finally an end of life date. In talking about those dates, if we go back to the V4 technology, I think there's still extended support going on V4, and there's no end of life yet. Of course, it should be made known that SmarTeam is built on older technologies. So part of SmarTeam being supported by Dassault is making sure the older technologies can be supported and work with the newer technologies out there today. So if you have SmarTeam, what are your options? And this may be a short presentation if no one wants to chime in, but hopefully everyone's listening eagerly. So your options, obviously you can stay on SmarTeam. There's many customers still staying on SmarTeam today, and are not looking to move off it yet. It's still, as I mentioned, supported. It still works. I think it works very well, and you know, there is nothing wrong with staying with it for the time being. That being said, you know, there is nothing wrong, or it might be prudent to look at options or look at what may be the future of SmarTeam at your company. You know, doesn't make sense necessarily not to replace it today, but understand if we were to replace it, what will we replace it with? And then, you know, it comes down to really, you know, do you want to stick with Dassault Technologies and use the 3D Experience platform going forward? If so, you know, there's obviously tools and methods to migrate data to it. And obviously you're still staying within the Dassault family of products. As I mentioned, you know, there are tools and methods, and we have experience migrating SmarTeam data to the platform. I would say it's not a simple button click. SmarTeam works differently than the platform. So, you know, there still would be work and exercises involved into best configuring the platform to meet your needs and requirements, and then also how to best map and migrate data over. But it is doable, and we have done it. You know, the other option is looking at another PLM or PDM system. And, you know, if you're not tied to Dassault, or you feel there's other systems out there that can do it better, you know, you may want to look into those as well. And really probably do some type of comparison. You know, make sure you know, when you are looking for other systems, you know, document what are your key requirements for a future PLM system. And then, you know, check and look at other systems, make sure they meet those requirements. You know, check on what is the price of the system, what would be the implementation efforts, relationships with the vendor, etc. And then you can, you know, make a good, rational, and logical decision of what system to go to. But, you know, I would say there's probably no right or wrong answer. You know, every system will have its pros and cons, and it's all about, you know, making your best educated guess of what system to go to. You know, one of the factors may be, you know, who are your suppliers and vendors? What systems are they using? Or what systems are your sister companies using? So, you know, if and when you guys are looking for, you know, the next PLM system beyond SmarTeam, we definitely can help you. Obviously, implement, migrate, but even help you make that choice or provide some assessment analysis for you. Along with that, though, let's say you are going to start with SmarTeam. You are sticking with SmarTeam for the time being, but you know, the question is, do you continue making enhancements to SmarTeam? You know, do you say, hey, it's going away, let's not put any more money into it? Or do you say, hey, you know, we have areas where we could improve SmarTeam, and you know, should we improve it? And I say, you know, sometimes it might be harder to quantify, but you can definitely do some simple return on investment calculations to see if it's worth it. So let's say you wanted to, you know, write a customization that you estimate will save, you know, save your engineers 5 minutes a day. Well, if, you know, 5 minutes of engineering time is, let's say, $25, and it saves, you know, 5 minutes a day, which is $25, and you have 20 engineers, well, 25 times 20 is, you know, $500. So if the cost for that customization is going to be $5,000, it may not be worth it. But let's say instead of saying 20 engineers, you have 200 engineers. In that case, then definitely, you know, there is some return on investment. You know, if you multiply that, or even the 5 minutes per day, if you multiply that across, you know, 200 work days in a year. So I think there is a good value added for making enhancements to SmarTeam, even if it's a year, less than a year, 2 years. I feel, most likely you still can get a return on investment if you're making such enhancements. And just to repeat to everyone, this is a open roundtable. If anyone has any comments, feel free to jump in. So next, topic, as I kind of alluded to, are you looking for a new PLM system, or should you look for a new PLM system? And again, to reiterate my points, SmarTeam's not going away. There's no end of date yet set for SmarTeam, but it may be good due diligence to look at what else is out there, and if you were to make a move, what are some of the systems to move to? As I said, you should definitely put together and do some homework even before you start looking at a new PLM system, but to understand what you want to get out of the PLM system, what are your key requirements, who are going to be the key users using it, what's working in SmarTeam today, what's not working in SmarTeam, etc. Make your list of criteria and then use that, and hopefully you could quantify answers from it when looking and evaluating other vendors. And one couple key criteria may be cost, implementation efforts, migration ability, etc. Definitely, because you're on SmarTeam, or if you're on SmarTeam today, which is a Dassault product, I think 3D Experience would be a strong contender. But they are different systems, and as mentioned, there's no magic button push that will move you from SmarTeam to 3D Experience. The licenses or roles are different. The way the systems behave are different. So there are tools and methodologies to help migrate over, but it takes work and effort to do that. And then you may want to look at other systems while you're at it, even if it's just a sanity check, that 3D Experience is the right solution for you. And then finally, migrating data into a new system, I would say, and I'm going to talk about xLM right now, regardless of what system you migrate data to, we have some expert level or expertise and tools to extract data out of SmarTeam in a neutral format. So regardless of what system you're doing, we can get the data out of SmarTeam very fast into various formats that could be used to put into another system. We also have tools to migrate data from SmarTeam into other systems. The main tools we're working with mainly revolve around 3D Experience, the SolidWorks PDM product, Iris that we work with, and other systems. But we really can probably migrate data from SmarTeam into any system, though the key ones that we have tools and methodologies for are the mainly the Dassault ones and SolidWorks with Iris. But getting data out, we're an expert with and can work with people to get data in. So those are some of the key things to think about and be aware of if you're going to look at a new PLM system. So finally, and if everyone is quiet, this will be a short presentation or roundtable discussion. But finally, I like to open it up, to see if and how people are using SmarTeam now, and what are they doing. So obviously, SmarTeam is, has very good CAD integrations, document management, general data management, and workflows. I think the SmarTeam workflow mechanism and change processes, even though it's 20 years old, is still very good and is a leading edge of functionality of how change could be done within a system. So, one of the things we're working on, or working with customers, are they're still implementing new flow processes in the system to handle new or change processes as their companies grow and adapt. So I think workflow is a key differentiator of SmarTeam, with other PLM systems. The other thing is we're still doing a lot of customizations around SmarTeam. So, again, many customers are still using it. They plan to use it for the near, short, and even long term. And we're still making it a more productive product to meet their unique business needs. So, I guess maybe a good thing is because SmarTeam has been around, really we have very high-level skills at customizing it, and we can develop customizations relatively fast and inexpensive because of that built-up expertise compared to maybe a newer system where its technology is changing, the architecture is changing, and makes things more difficult. This is more of an open question, but if anyone wants to chime in, if you had any suggestions to improve SmarTeam, what would they be?
Hi, Mark.
Hi, yes.
Hi, say, so one of the good things that SmarTeam has that I haven't seen in 3D Experience is the ability to customize and create like your own classes and things like that and map information, and the API model that's really open. That's one of the key thing that's refraining me from switching from SmarTeam to something else or greater. We've been evaluating 3D Experience for like maybe 3 years, and like simple things like the P&O, like project security, which is something that we master properly in SmarTeam, but I cannot figure out how to map it into 3D Experience. I know it's feasible, but I haven't seen any examples or living examples of how that could be done in the 3D Experience. But if I answer your questions, we do use workflow, but it's kind of weird why we use it to automate integration with other systems. And there's a batch processor that basically does interaction with the user and picks up some of the information like electronic signature, things like that. So we use it for that. We don't use it for like approvals or I don't know, engineering change or things like that. It's really like the user interacts with the system and is going to let's say replace like a PDF that are unsigned with signed PDF by the engineers, and it's going to zip it all back and send it to another system which archives those documents. So, but this, I'm sure this can be done with another way. I've seen the routes in 3D Experience; those seem to be really flexible. I'm not sure if it can achieve the same thing as you can do with a workflow, but and if we could improve SmarTeam, I don't know, it'd be nice if there was like mobility or things like that. I know the web client is something that we have evaluated in the past, like especially to connect SmarTeam with CATIA and find out if there's gains with the web integration. But yeah, we didn't really move that way. Multi-site, as I probably said earlier, we're like a single site, but we use one accelerators to accelerate the file transfer. But yeah, you said it yourself. It's like a 20 years type of system. So the interaction with the database is direct from the client to the database. So especially in times like this, like COVID, if you're working from home and you have your your TIC client and you go over VPN or Wi-Fi and all that, so it adds up to the latency and the performance is really bad. But if you use like I don't know, remote desktop or something like that, and it's way better. And then we've seen like there's multiple technologies out there to help with that. So that's been pretty much the biggest struggle that we've had over years is the performance with the large mockups, but we found like ways to work around that. And yeah, that's pretty much our story or my answers to your question.
No, thank you. That's great. And I think your comments were very insightful, and I think you really understand, what works with SmarTeam and what doesn't work, and some of the key comparisons that you should take into consideration if comparing it to 3D experience. But let me kind of comment on some of the points you made, or rehash them. One is, yes, I think with COVID and everyone working remotely, you are seeing performance issues around SmarTeam, and SmarTeam was not meant to run over a VPN. It was meant to run when you're in the office and attached to the LAN, the network.
Exactly.
That being said, there are some ways to improve performance. You can actually copy all your icons and scripts locally to each computer, and we've noticed considerable performance improvements doing right mouse button clicks from SmarTeam. And we actually wrote a blog on it that we worked with some customers, and it made a big difference. Can't say it'll make a big difference for everyone, but it made a big difference for them. There's other, like you said, technologies, network accelerators, et cetera, that can speed up performance. We can always look to optimize the database. If the database isn't being tuned regularly, there's ways to optimize that could help with performance. Obviously, if you had remote sites, multi-site makes a big difference, but if you're working remotely, it doesn't help. So, I mean, long story short, yes, it's not meant to work over the VPN, but it does work. Believe it or not, it's just a little bit slow. But there's things that we can do to maybe make it a little bit better, but probably not the same as if you were actually in the office. As for comparisons to 3D experience, I'll make a couple points that you mentioned. One is, yeah, SmarTeam is really good as an open tool to really model or build a data model to mimic almost any process you have. The data model designer tool, even though as it's old, really works. So 3D experience on cloud, you're limited to only creating additional fields and attributes. On premise, there's a tool called TXO. And we have another presentation on it if anyone's interested, but it allows you to extend the data model, so you can create subtypes or subclasses, but you can't create brand new or root level classes or superclasses in SmarTeam speak.
Mm-hmm.
So
I saw your press yesterday.
Yeah.
Was it yesterday or Tuesday?
Tuesday, yes. So we did a co-presentation on that. As for security, I agree with you as well. I mean, the SmarTeam security model is pretty straightforward. It's based on group or person, class, and then action, whether that's update, delete, check-in, etc. So it's a pretty straightforward security model, where 3D experience can get fairly confusing with collaborative spaces, the various hard-coded roles like author, leader, contributor, owner, etc. So I agree that the security model and 3D experience can be very powerful, but it can be very confusing as well to really implement correctly. And then workflows and routes, I mean, they are different, but they are very similar. So, and then finally, customization, yes, SmarTeam was really based on COM, customization, .NET, fairly open API, where 3D experience, the traditional method really was to write, very similar to SmarTeam, write JavaScripts that can do everything, or Java code. The Java code really, though, is geared to the 3D space, the non-3D dashboards or widgets, kind of the traditional method. But you can do a lot with it, but it's kind of the traditional method of 3D experience. To do things in the newer method and dashboards and widgets, there are ways to extend it, but it is harder, more complicated, and not as well documented today. But there is ways to do it. There's languages that Dassault supports now called EKL, Enterprise Knowledge Language, that works with CATIA and 3D experience. Another comment, which again, I think if I understand the comment correctly, says that SmarTeam needs better collaboration tools or workspaces. So I agree. If you have suppliers or vendors that need to get into SmarTeam or only access certain sets of data in a secure manner, there's ways to do it, but they're not great ways. Especially because of the remote performance issue and a little bit of the security model. But yes, SmarTeam could definitely improve its ways to collaborate with external personnel. Probably we won't see any major improvements to SmarTeam, but they do add, minor features and functions in new releases, and obviously bug fixes and supporting, latest CAD and operating systems and databases. But probably won't be any major improvements. But I agree. Better collaboration tools would be a nice addition. And then finally, I kind of wrote multi-site backups and recovery. Obviously a lot of customers are using multi-site technology if you have remote sites. Key note: the latest version of Oracle no longer supports the SmarTeam original SmarTeam multi-site technology, which was master replication. So the newer versions of Oracle make use of a Oracle tool called Golden Gate for replication, and SmarTeam is supposed to support it. We have yet to have a customer to upgrade to the latest version of Oracle and deploy Golden Gate yet, but we should be able to support it. But also another point with that Golden Gate solution, no one has yet answered to me if that is included in the Oracle license that you get with SmarTeam, or if that's something that you would have to pay in addition. So
I've heard that it's no longer within the Oracle license supplied by SmarTeam. That's something I've heard from another SmarTeam big site in Quebec that was trying to upgrade to the latest version.
So, and that's very true. Again, the SmarTeam Oracle agreement is 20 plus years old, and with Oracle releasing a new technology, I'm sure they probably want people to pay for it versus giving it away for free. What we've been doing though is people that are upgrading SmarTeam, we've been upgrading them not to the latest version of Oracle, but Oracle 12c R1, which still supports multi-master replication, and haven't had an issue at all. But if there is a need to go to the latest version of Oracle, then yes, we would need the Golden Gate tool, and there very well could be a cost. And I didn't look at what the cost is, but Oracle products aren't normally cheap.
No.
So just another piece of information to keep in mind. And then backup and recovery, with any PLM system or any enterprise system, make sure IT or the responsible groups, have a good backup plan and have even practiced recovery methods in case the system were to go down. Another question here: can multi-site work with SQL Server? So the answer is yes and no. With SQL Server, you can have vault replication. So The vaults will get replicated across the different locations, but you still only have one primary database at your primary site. So a remote user would still have to connect to the remote site, but when they go to check out and check in files, it would not pull it from the remote site, it would pull it from the local site that the user is at. And that has worked for various customers. So that could be an option. Those are really the main three topics I came up with to discuss today. Thank you everyone for their input. Thank you, Vincent, for your input. I think it was very insightful, and we had some good questions asked through chat. Obviously, here's my information. If anyone wants to talk about SmarTeam, talk about future PLM solutions, i.e. 3D experience or something else, or just want to chat in general, please reach out to me. I'm always happy to have a good, insightful conversation. But with that, if anyone has any last statements to make, you have the floor, but otherwise, I will end the presentation shortly and let everyone get on to their rest of their day. Okay, so going once. One more question came up. Let's see what that says. So the question is, have we ever done a SmarTeam to PTC Windchill migration? And I will be very straightforward with my answer to that. We have not done a full SmarTeam to PTC migration, but we worked with customers migrating to PTC where we've extracted SmarTeam data to a neutral format and then worked with a PTC expert to get that data into Windchill. So can't say we did the whole project, but we definitely did a good piece of the project. And I'd be happy to talk to you about that as well if interested. All right, well, thank you again for your time. Have a great rest of the day, and then please reach out to me with any questions or comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, bye.